Real football is back, people. Real football is back. Well, actually, we got one more international break before there is no more international break, and real football will continue. And you know what else is back? Content on my channel is back. Content on Football Khanage. And you know what else is back? The original intro. Have you noticed, guys? Conrad, Matisse won't know. Conrad Keith, the original intro, the first ever intro. I'm reminiscing like mad today. And I'm nervous like mad today. I haven't been this nervous for a Chelsea game in ages. I don't know, something rivalry coming back, something we're going to discuss. Or am I just gaslighting as usual? Is this the Grizzeska part where I'm like, I am now Grizzeska. Grizz himself can't swear in the first. Grizz you know what I mean? It's all about Grizzeska now. We need to talk football. We need to talk real football, club football. And I've got the gang back. Mr. Keith Cross, still newlywed. You still count. 6 months, I think, you give yourself as a honeymoon period.
Yeah.
6 months. Yeah, you give it. You give it.
Absolutely.
Man of experience. You give yourself. You give yourself 6 months. You're still newlywed in my eyes. What's happening?
Absolutely. The honeymoon period's lovely, even though I still haven't had a honeymoon yet.
Okay.
You know, yeah. Still haven't had a honeymoon yet. Mrs. went 2-0. I was in Abu Dhabi a couple of weeks ago. So she's gone 2-0 now. And now she's about to go 3-0 as well as an MMA pro.
As I said,
I mean? Hopefully in December.
The wife is doing bits. People, if you don't know, get to know. I'm telling you, man, the wife is MMA champion. Champion.
So yeah, no, it's going off, man. You know what I mean? And it's still the honeymoon period because it's a Friday night, Grizz, and I'm at home, which is a rarity to catch me on at home.
You know what? When I texted him today, I said, "Any chance you're around today?" Yeah, why not? I was like, "What?" He said, "Why not on a Friday night?" But listen, it's good to have you back. It's good to talk football. It's good to talk Liverpool, and it's good vibes right now with Liverpool as well. Conroy, it's been a while. I know it's been a while because fucking haven't done no content for a month. But it is what it is. You've got your hair. You look a bit more like Andrew Robertson day by day.
Yeah, I've got a haircut scheduled next week. I have grew it out. It's a bit like
looks nice. I'm not gonna lie. I'm jealous. I'm envious. I'm not gonna lie. Andrew Robertson. Am I lying, Keith? Am I lying? I'm telling you, you look all right. What's happening?
Yeah, it's okay. It's I'm going to get shaved at the sides next week, so it's a bit more like a mullet, to be honest. The plan was to grow that out, but it's kind of turned into like Graham Souness 1980s Liverpool. You know, if I don't, you kind of, I've never really had curly hair, so when it is curly, I've realised that you kind of have to be on it with the products. If not, it just looks like a Jerry curl constantly. But it's cool, guys. If I can look anything like Andy Robertson, I think I've done something okay anyway. But doing good, Grizz. Good to be back. I was actually looking forward to tonight as well. A little bit nervous actually because it's been a while. So you just get I'm nervous for the show, nervous for the game. To be honest, I know we're going to break it down. I actually seen a bit been quite a lot of previews this week on another channel. I seen a few with Matisse actually. I quite liked that one. I think it was yesterday you done one, mate. That was pretty good.
Thank you.
But yeah, looking forward to chat about this. I think it's actually going to be quite an interesting show as well. Because if you told me a month ago, and I'm not even being disrespectful to Chelsea, but no one really thought Maresca was going to hit the ground running this weekend. Well, I never saw that, Grizz. If you did, fair play. But a lot of people had the pitchforks out already, just assuming they know what was going to happen. So I think it's going to be an interesting chat tonight, just to touch on that.
Good. And look, people are saying thumbnail, and we can all see who's in the thumbnail. Big up, guys. Eat well tonight. Yo, Grizz is high as fuck. I'm high as fuck because I got my brother with me, man. Come on, people. You already know. I don't need to introduce him. Talking about hair growth, you know what I mean? Look at his beard. You look at picture 2 years ago. You look at picture of him now. It's like, wow. What's that word they use? The glow. No, the soft glow.
Yeah,
what is
the glow.
Word? Is it the glow?
Glow up.
The glow up.
The glow up is serious, people.
Put a lot of work into this. Do you know what I mean? A lot of product has gone into this. And yeah, we're getting there. We're almost catching up to Grizz, not Grizz Teta, Grizz Resca. Do you know what I'm saying?
Brother.
Yeah. So yeah, man, we're here. Do you know what I mean? 1 blue versus 3 reds away from home, as we will be on Sunday. But we're here, man, and we're looking forward to it. It's
Before we
you're
get
nervous, I'm nervous. You know what I mean?
before we get into the chat and the discussion, we need to, you already know, but we need to, and the chat already knows, don't look at it like an away game. This ain't an away game for you, my brother. This ain't 3 against 1. We don't do 3 against 1. We don't make our guests feel unwelcome. We ain't looking to bully you. Conroy's probably going to be more on your side than the Liverpool side. And Keith, okay, Keith is the hype merchant for Liverpool FC. So okay, I can't stop Keith hyping up Liverpool. But we're here to talk away from the jungle. The jungle is massive. That is Big Six. We are here to talk real football. And you know what? I've been telling you, Matisse, I'm looking forward to this game. And if you don't know, get to know Sunday, we're going to be, the mob will be doing a watch along. And it's the first time this season where me and Matisse are on the receiving
sides.
opposing sides. Like, we're active. Our teams are playing. We've been hosting and having joke and chilling and smoking cigars, the proverbial cigars. But Sunday, Matisse, I'm excited about this game. A, it's a test for both. B, both new managers. C, both very evidently good coaches, like on hands coaches, and both our teams are in a bit of transition, and it's almost like a fresh start. Because while Klopp was there, it was like, you know, okay, and Chelsea were in the mud, you know, the phrase that we use. Suddenly, it looks like bit of a balanced game. Would you say?
I'd still say you guys are favourites. I think. For me, you've got X factor. We've got some X factor, but you've got some X factor as well. I'm looking at your centre backs. You know, they're very, very, very much top players, and that will be a test for Jackson again, who I think is the kind of profile that would get something out of them, as opposed to maybe a Haaland who's more right in your face. And I think they deal with that even better. But when I've seen Jesus before the injury, Jackson in some cup finals, it's a little bit more of a back and forth in terms of the dribble, running up against them, dragging them out wide, trying to give them different threats. I think what will be very interesting is obviously your midfield in terms of Gravenberch with Palmer. I think this is the first time he's coming up against a 10 of that caliber, that's of that level, to really cause him those big problems. But on the other side, I was looking at statistics today, aerial duels, you guys are like first and we're 18th. And we all know what happened in the cup final on that corner. So for me, that's a big part of the game that can't be underestimated, is set pieces and the strength that you guys have in the air in comparison to what we have. And we've got some players that are coming in that we spoke about. I spoke about yesterday on
we did,
you know, Renato Vega and Tosin are coming into this team because of suspensions. I'm hoping they're going to bridge the gap, but that's a big test for us as well to deal with that, because against Forest we didn't and we conceded for it. So yeah,
100%. We have got Robert in the chat. He follows us here, he follows us there, he follows us everywhere, and he follows the mighty Chelsea. You know, if people don't know about Robert, you'll very quickly get to know Robert in the chat, people. Robert is special. Matisse going against 3 reds on his own, I respect that. We have got Mitch B in the building, says, bro, give up on the YouTube. It's not for you. Grizz content is inconsistent and trash most of the time anyways. But you're here. It's mad. I love it. I love people like you. How sad are you? Like, I'm sad. Like, I know I'm sad. But how sad are you on a Friday night watching trash content on your night off or day off? You absolute dickhead. Shane says, Mitch, you can go get content elsewhere. YouTube is free, mate. Big up Shane, of course, in the building. Robert Mugabe in the building, of course, they say. Keith, Liverpool Chelsea used to be my, ultimately it's Liverpool Man United, right? In terms of bag of nerves and like shivering, and regardless of what the situation is, you don't want to lose to Man United. Tensions are rife and all of that. Chelsea at one stage, Keith, for me personally, at one stage was like that. In the Mourinho and Rafa days, I'm going to let you into a little secret. All of you lot. There's 130 of you guys in there. Smash the like, subscribe if you haven't. All of that algorithmical stuff that I need to do to get my channel back up, because it's dead. So come on, let's go. Rise, come on, I'm back. Football's back. But you know, the semi-final, Liverpool Chelsea, the second one, not the ghost goal, the second one that went to the penalty
shootouts. Yeah.
So I booked a hotel room just myself, no business, no nothing, just myself. And I turned off my phone because and didn't watch the game. I was too nervous to watch the game. I wanted to be away from the outside world, so people letting me know messages, whatever. I was that nervous. I didn't watch the game. I only came out the room when I knew that it would be final whistle in case there's extra time and penalties, like it turned out to be. I didn't take no risks. That's how nervous wreck I used to get. Where are you in the nervous wreck situation levels?
Bro.
It's gonna be that levels, but where?
Sure, yeah. Chelsea. I grew up in West London, so for me, Chelsea has been a thorn in my side for many, 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 many years. I have many close friends that are Chelsea fans. The areas I grow up in is full of Chelsea fans. So it's, as much as, obviously, like you said before, like the United rivalry is definitely probably number one. The Chelsea rivalry is definitely a second. I have history with Chelsea myself. One time I managed to sneak. I was 17 years old. I went into Stamford Bridge and sat amongst Chelsea fans to watch the game. Do you remember when Fernando Torres scored that goal from outside the box, Stamford Bridge, UEFA Champions League quarterfinal? I think Chelsea knocked us out that night. I think it went to extra time as well. Ryan Babel, I think, scored that night as well. And me and my youthfulness got a bit too gassed, a bit too carried away, and I started celebrating when Torres scored. The Chelsea end, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw my life flash before my eyes that day. I'm a large man. I usually think I can look after myself. But tell you, like, when you have literally like hundreds of fans just turning around and calling you every name under the sun and then some, that was when I saw death that day. And the steward kicked me out that day. So, it's personal with Chelsea as far as I'm concerned. And, obviously, there's going to be a bit of nerves. But, the nice thing is it's been nice being a Liverpool fan against Chelsea in recent times. I mean, last time you lot beat us was 2021. I mean, we're in 2024 now. It's 3 years ago. There's been a nice humbleness amongst my Chelsea friendship group. Every time we play, it's like, you guys are probably going to win, etc. I was like, yeah, damn right, kiss the ring. But I think this one's going to be a really interesting game. My general opinion on Chelsea this season, they're the great entertainers. If I got a day off and I want to watch some football, I will switch a Chelsea game on because you don't know what you're going to get. They got an incredible attack. And the defense is wide open in transition. So, you never want to be the great entertainers, but you're definitely great to watch for a neutral. So I think we're going to be in for a fantastic game on Sunday. So I'm actually looking forward to it from an entertainment value. Can't wait.
We're going to carry on. Matisse is going to leave us after about 40 minutes, because that's all I could afford him for. So we're going to get Matisse's perspective on all the Chelsea stuff and tactics right now in a minute. But Conroy, going on the back of that, what you like with Chelsea as rivals, as a game? Is it one of the ones that you look out for at the start of the season? Is it one of the low ticked off in the calendar like Chelsea? Yeah, because I think you're from the Rafa and Mourinho era.
Mourinho. Yeah, no, definitely. I'd still think I'm a bit like you, Grizz. I think United is the one that first game you look at the fixtures. I think that's just ingrained in you from the years of Ferguson and just us missing out or us being terrible and United winning. I always refer to it, Matisse, the John O'Shea Anfield winner, where United were garbage and still won. That depict that era massively, because even when they were terrible in one of their kind of, not disrespect to John O'Shea, but just they didn't even have to turn up and they could beat us. So United is definitely first, but I have to say, I think the Mourinho factor is a huge part of the rivalry between Liverpool and Chelsea, because obviously there was discussions and Mourinho kind of the comments on Liverpool one could have potentially been at Liverpool, but they went a different direction. Then the cup final, the Gerrard own goal in the cup final as well, Mourinho's first trophy, that stemmed the absolute montage winning, probably the mentality of winning, especially doing it against us, but also beating Ferguson that year as well. Opening game, beating United 1-0, Ida Johnson goal at Stamford Bridge. People forget that there are kind of small margins in football that actually can have such ripple effects. So I think because we were right in the heart of that, but we won the Champions League, but we didn't really. I wouldn't say we weren't winners in the sense of like consistently. Where Chelsea from that period, even when they were poor, they would win. And I think, Matisse, I don't think we've spoke before, but I've always said in the show, Chelsea are the depiction of winners from the very start, 2004 to now, or maybe the last couple of years, because they would just find a way, even in poor seasons, they would pick up a trophy. And we had debates on the show all the time about domestic cups. And I used to say it's important to keep winning trophies, to keep adding to that, because you can lose that winning feel around the club very, very quickly. So to me, I relate Chelsea to that, and especially the last 15 years. And the rivalry, you talk about the moments. Torres is a big one. We always mention Torres, but I think we kind of maybe beat Chelsea in that one because Torres scored twice against them for the 50 million transfer. But we all know that wasn't the same Fernando Torres at that point. But I think just the amount of memories, games, the League Cup finals, recent ones with Tommy Tuchel as well, the Shimicast penalty. There's been so many iconic moments. But there's one I have to shout out. I can't believe, Keith, you didn't mention it. Keith, was that the Fabio Aurelio free kick?
Yeah.
How you not mention that, Keith? That was literally one of the best goals anyone's ever scored, catching it, one of the best keepers ever. But yeah, there's so many memories, and I feel like it did there was Chelsea won a lot, we won a lot. There is definitely a rivalry there. And I think with Chelsea coming back up the start of this season, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting game. And I feel like it could be, as Keith said, maybe a Newcastle, Liverpool era game of 4-3, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened on Sunday.
Yeah, it's not quite the Chelsea-Liverpool era, Matisse, coming to you now. And look, a little bit of a focus on Chelsea. Me and you have discussed Chelsea the last 3-4 years, ups and downs, mainly downs in the last 3-4 years. But and we kind of knew that it's a matter of finding a coach that you trust in, that you believe in, and the owners just take a back seat and then let the talent do the talking, because we've always maintained, everyone that we speak to and we speak with, always maintained that the quality of player is there in the squad overall. Amongst those 56 players that you have got 13, 14 minimum good ones. It was just a matter of harnessing it all, putting it together, and let the sort of headlines be about on the pitch as opposed to off the pitch. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, 30 players, not 40, 50. You know what I mean? We're gonna have to start docking you points for every time you do this now, because you're doing it too much.
Numbers, come on.
But yeah, it's just numbers. Do you know what I mean? It's just numbers. But listen, when it comes to us, it is about time that we start performing consistently on the pitch and putting ourselves in respectable positions again, because the last 2 years have been horrendous in terms of just, even though last season we finished sixth, we all saw for the majority of the season we were in 10th. You know, we were in 9th. We were still really struggling for a large part, and we managed to claw it back in 5 games and make it semi-respectable. But that was still a lot of hell to pay in that season. Do you know what I mean? So for me, this is the first time in a while that we started how we mean to go on. You know, we're sitting in 4th. There's still elements of looking at the start of the season and thinking, yo, could we have done better against Palace and got a win, Forest and got a win, because we could have even been closer to the top. But this is the City game maybe came too soon. That was the first game of the season, and I think that's fair. But this is the first big test where it's like, from our standpoint, Keith said earlier, we have to play a certain way. I agree. Chelsea have to play a sexy style of football. They're almost, you know, not one-dimensional in that aspect, but we can't go and we're yet to show we can go have a physical battle. We can go and win set pieces and score that way, or go and do a shit house and low block it. And you know, we yet show that side of us, if there is that side to us, which profile-wise in the squad, I don't think we've built the team for that. And Anfield is one of the toughest places to go and play your football. Go and impose yourself, because even title winners have gone there and said, you know, we'll take a draw and go. And we've seen Pep adapt his style and philosophy to games like this. So that's my biggest worry with this game, is this is the wrong place to come and expect to dominate and play a swagger and play a style. If we can do that, that would be incredible, because that would mean that we're even more technically gifted than we've seen so far this season. We're going up against Liverpool and we've outplayed them. But there does need to be some sort of defensive solidarity between us to say, right, we're not going to leak 2 goals. We're not going to come to Anfield and concede for fun like last season 4-1. We're actually going to be a unit, and we're going to pick our moments and do what we can on the break or you know, in spells. But we do need to defend properly if we're going to get anything from this game.
Broderick Fall says, get them likes for Grizz going live. Come on, people. I'm actually live. This is live. You're not seeing things. It's not a dream. You know what I mean? Pinch yourselves. We are live. It's real. Smash up 200 of you guys in here. Thank you for the support. I didn't expect 200 to be live 1 month later, but it is what it is. I love you all. Smash a like, subscribe if you haven't. Matisse, I think you were spot on in terms of the way he wants to play football and the way you obviously see them every game and you know that this is his style and he's pretty much played this style every game. You're yet to see him do a horses for courses type selection or tactics. But me and you spoke yesterday, I think it was yesterday, wasn't it, in the Big Six?
Yeah.
When I said, I think we're going to see a horses for courses type selection or tactics from him. Because I'm a fan. Maresca, I think, is a very good potential, very, very good coach potentially. And I just think he needed to implement his style and let him have his way. And it's very clear that he's being allowed to manage his way, get rid of the players he doesn't want, toxic or whatever, doesn't rate them or whatever. He's got his squad of players now. Because I agree with you. Anfield's not one of those games where you think you can impose your game because the greatest coach of all time, Pep Guardiola, couldn't really ever go to Anfield and impose his game. Like ever. In this probably 10 times he's played us there, he's always changed it. He's always gone a bit cautious, played an extra midfielder, blah, 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 blah. As we get into predicting a lineup from yourself and the tactics, don't you think there's because what you was telling me yesterday, because not everyone might have not watched the Big Six, because you don't think you've got the personnel or the profile of player to do that kind of game or tactic, right?
I think we were discussing a 3-man midfield, and I think for me, an Enzo Caicedo Lavia midfield right now is a bit too flat. There's no goal threat. There's no box crashing really. There's no attacking side to that three. It's very flat. Even defensively, there's no true sitter. There's no like Rodri or there's no. So you're creating quite a flat midfield that can still defensively potentially be exposed even with the numbers, but then going forward don't offer enough of a threat. So my thing was, even if you're to play a 3-man midfield, I would believe that would just be in shape. I think Palmer is more than technically good enough and intelligent enough to drop into a midfield three and start playing an Odegaard type role where you need him to dictate or you need him to control, you need him to get on the ball deeper. We've seen that before. He'll play these fantastic long range passes in behind defensive lines and Madueke, Jackson, get on your bike and I'll play the pass. So he can do that. So I wouldn't sacrifice his kind of central position in the team to put him on the right. Then you're asking Gusto to overlap. You're then isolating Sancho. He hasn't got anyone to connect with. You're just creating bigger gaps and distances with a very athletic Liverpool team. What I want to say is Van Dijk, Khanage, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai. It's a very athletic team as much as it is, you know, technically we know there's Trents, there's Salahs, but that's a very athletic team and we're not very athletic in my opinion. So the more the gaps open, the more space there is, that the bigger the problem for us. We saw it last season. There was gaps everywhere. Jota, you know, getting in pockets. Conor Bradley was just bombing forward. You know, Diaz got a goal. I think we need to be a bit more compact. And I would like to start Lavia next to Caicedo personally and take Enzo out. I just don't know if Lavia is ready to start this game. If he does and he's fit, fantastic. But if he's not, I wouldn't say that's a selection blunder from Maresca because we haven't seen him start previous to this. And I don't think the first game you should be starting is Liverpool away. Do you know what I mean? That's not ideal.
It's not ideal. But Keith, we spoke about Maresca style briefly, and it's very much a possession pass because he's a protege of Pep Guardiola, right? So he only knows one way. He's very much about this 4-2-3-1, would you say, Matisse? Like with Palmer, Madueke behind Jackson.
Yeah.
Keith, if that's the lineup, and Matisse is pretty much predicting it, that's going to be the lineup. Obviously, the back four is a bit changed. We'll touch up on the possible changes in the back line. How would you feel about that lineup turning up to playing against us in our current predicament, in the way we currently play? Because if this was Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp, I'm not going to lie. I'm doing the Ohms. Where's Ohms? Where's Ohms? We're winning 5-1. I think we win 5-1 if this is Klopp and that's how they turn up. But with the way we play under Slot, I don't know how I feel about this How do you feel about this? I'll explain why I think the way I think, in case you nick my idea. So
maybe I might telepathy. You know, I think Matisse. You mentioned the midfield, and I'm gonna go cliche and say that the game will be won in the midfield. To be honest with you, and my biggest question mark to Chelsea at the moment is your defense, because yeah, you could ultimately say that Jurgen Klopp would, you know, if it was the Jurgen Klopp team, it probably could turn similar to what happened last season. But under Arne's slot, obviously, I think it's a much more, we still press, probably not as aggressive or not as, you know, we're not as obsessed with pressing from the front as we used to be. We're quite comfortable to let the team have the ball and start to pick off presses in the middle. But I think ultimately that defense of Chelsea, I think that you got a long way to go. And again, Matisse, you know, you were saying as well about how Chelsea can only play one way at the moment. And the reason why you do play one way at the moment is because you can't rely on and I may be forced to eat my words, eat my hat, you know what I mean, on Sunday, and Chelsea pull off a remarkable defensive masterclass and Liverpool don't score a goal, but I'll be shocked because I think it's very disjointed. I think it's no surprise that your highest rated players at the moment in any of the stats that you look at the moment are your forwards. And your defenders, your goalkeeper, they're lagging behind at the moment. So that's where it gets really tough. Liverpool this season, especially in the midfield, are very good at finding space, very good at manipulating space. You've got Ryan Gravenberch, who, you know, he's not one of those players that necessarily, like, you know, is going to try and dribble, take 100 touches of the ball to get past the man. A lot of the times he lets that ball bypass. And if you got the likes of Caicedo and Enzo and they're not on it, and they're not snappy, and they're not reading him, they're not telepathic with Ryan Gravenberch's movement, and he gets past them. To Matisse's point, do they have the legs to kind of get back when Liverpool then go gun ho and go through the middle of the park? So, you know, this is probably where my confidence comes from at the moment. I think, as I said, Chelsea, I do think they'll score. I think they'll score against Liverpool. You know, I think there's an opportunity definitely to catch Liverpool, because I think sometimes Liverpool, particularly if you catch us on the counter, and you know, we don't have the fastest players in the world necessarily to get back. But I do believe that Slot has gotten really comfortable at controlling games, and I think if Liverpool can get a goal, I think he's very good at not turning it into a bit of a mad, you know, basketball match. To say the least. So, you know, that for me, in my opinion, of Chelsea, as I said, I think very good attacking sides, very, very good fun to watch. But, you know, it's going to take him a while, I think, to really figure out. I think it's going to take Enzo a while to figure out who he trusts. League titles, league challenges, they all start with finding your centre backs. And who would you say, Matisse, right now is your centre back partnership? Really, who is that back four partnership? Is there enough trust right now between your defenders and Sanchez as well as the goalkeeper? And when you come to Anfield with a team like Liverpool, who haven't really changed yet, the manager changed, but the forward line, they've been playing football with each other for years. You know, they're very well in tune to open teams up, and we've done it multiple times this season. That's where I think Chelsea are going to be. That's what I think the difference is the game's going to be ultimately. You know, if the midfield come in and they get lazy with their press, or they miss time challenges, or they don't quite, you know, see it coming, let me say it like that, I just don't see the defense really being able to stop Liverpool from scoring goals. And I actually think on the other side, you know, I rate our back four very, very highly. There's a reason why we've only conceded one goal this season, albeit to a defeat to Nottingham Forest. So, yeah, that's my kind of opinion on Chelsea. Very fun to watch, but again, it will come. I think with time, you got to take time with these things, right? You got to figure out who can you trust long term with that centre back partnership. But you've made too many changes even this season already with that back four to really have something solid at the moment. So yeah,
I think.
What's your opinion?
I think defensively it's a difficult one, because Cucurella has been very good this season, but he's suspended. Colwell's been brilliant this season, so he'll play. And Renato Vega, when he does play in the Conference League or in the Cup, he's been brilliant as well. But this is a big test now. He's going up against Salah. That's another level. So that left-hand side this season has been much better than the right side. And that's obviously where your big guy is. That's the guy that every time he scores against Chelsea, he has to show us his abs, let us know. We don't want to see that, yeah? Now, the right side is where I've got more concerned with the way we played this season in terms of gusto. He's had a different role. He's been inverting. That's been a new learning curve for him. He's been not the level he was last season, but it's a completely different job. Last season, he was overlapping Palmer. This season, he's coming into midfield. And Fofana suspended. And he's had some good games. And I think with the context of him coming back from such a long-term injury, I think no one should be expecting world-class performances from Wesley Fofana anyway. But Tossin's coming in because he's suspended. And Tossin's a good player. I really liked him at Fulham. I thought on a free transfer, that was very shrewd business. And I've had something to say about some of our business at times, but that was a move that I was very for. I think he's a very good ball-playing centre-back. He plays through the lines very well. I think we got very good ball-playing defenders actually coming into this game. Renato's very good on the ball, Colwell as well. So hopefully that can bypass your press. But I agree with you in terms of we still need to prove defensively that we can actually keep you out, which I don't think we will. I don't think we're going to keep a clean sheet. And I am almost preparing for at least probably a goal or two against us. And we're going to need to score 2 to get a result. I predicted 2-2 in my preview. That'll be out tomorrow. But our goalkeeper, I don't think he's going to be good enough long term. I didn't want him. And I think even though he makes great saves, he's a shot stopper at times, he's got a bozo moment in him. And I've had it's going to take a lot for him to sway me and to change my mind on him in the medium and long term. I still think we're looking for a keeper within or externally, which is ridiculous because we've signed so many goalkeepers. So one of these young keepers need to be, the next Courtois or something. So yeah, listen, if I was a Liverpool fan, then I get you being very confident against our defense because we concede goals. Do you know what I mean? We definitely concede goals. Even Wolves, we conceded. Bournemouth could have scored in the first half. We got away with it a bit there. Brighton have got a couple of goals against us. So we're leaking goals. We leaked goals against Serviette. We leaked goals against Ghent. There was concentration issues. Sometimes we switch off. In the build-up, there can be individual errors. So I'm not here to lie. That's an issue. However, going the other way, even with your defense being as great as it is, we are going to cause you problems. I have no doubt about that. We're going to cause you problems because in open play, that's all we got. We don't do set pieces around here. We don't take set pieces well. We don't attack set pieces well. Everything we do is in open play. And with Cole Palmer and his passing ability, Madueke's 1v1 threat, his pace against Robertson potentially. Sancho versus Trent, I think it's going to be a very fun battle because Sancho's been really, really good for us since he's come in.
They know each other very well as well.
Yeah. And like I said, I think Jackson can cause your centre backs problems. He's not a Haaland. He's the complete opposite. And I think your centre backs, they don't prefer to follow someone into midfield and then potentially someone will spin or run the flanks and go 1v1 and dribble at them and whatnot. And he'll do that. So he's not someone you can just get touch tight and say this is where he's going to be. But yeah, my main concern is your ball carrying in midfield, Gravenberch versus Enzo or even Caicedo if he gets booked and doesn't time his tackle properly. And yeah, the aerial threat in the defense. And it's going to be a tough game for us. Like, I'll take a draw right now. No shame in saying that. I'll take a draw right now.
No, absolutely. No shame. Big up Just Man. He sends in a super chat. Thank you very much, bro. It was a great show tonight, Grizz, Matisse, Conroy, Keith. I always enjoyed listening to all your football takes. Insightful as always. Thanks for a fantastic evening, lads. Hope you all have a great weekend. What a lovely message. What a lovely guy. Thank you very much for that. And before we get another wonderful take from Conroy, a lot of people might not know about this Vega business. I called him Ramon Vega yesterday on the Big Six. People
showing your age there, yeah.
People don't know who I'm talking about. But what kind of player is he? Because are we definitely sure he's going to start? Because you can bring in Colwell left back and bring in
Axel
Disaster.
Nope. That will not happen.
Okay, so then tell us about what profile is he?
He played a lot of centre mid at Basel. At least he was in central areas a lot. So obviously Portuguese international. I think he was in the recent call-up. So he's had quite a steep rise, obviously, since he's come to Chelsea. And every time he's played, honestly, he's physical. He's a bit of a shithouse. He loves a slide tackle. He loves to, assert himself. But he's also very good on the ball. And he's a good passer. I'm really starting to appreciate his passing out the back more and more as well. So he's a very... I didn't even know him when we signed him. And I already got a vibe that I like this profile that we brought in. It's a cheap left back that we needed to bring in after the massive outlays of Chilwell and Cucurella, wages and transfer fee. And this guy he seems tuned in. if there's one player that, or if there's one characteristic you want at Anfield, it's you're locked in. Like you need to, and I think even though he's young, I think he will be able to handle the crowd. And really, it's just whether he can handle Salah's ability, because he's not come up against a winger of that level as of yet. Because
the intelligence, yeah. I mean, Vega will have him, like Vega will probably match up physically, especially with Salah's age and Vega's physicality and pace and strength and young. What's the word? The youthfulness. But Salah don't play like that no more. Salah's
exactly.
And my feelings from a Liverpool point of view, the way you've profiled him, I get, and 100% I see it. But my view would be, do you remember, guys, when Arsenal brought back who's that mad left back they had? Nuno Tavares, like very excitable front foot, and he was like led a merry dance and and got excited. The crowd got to him. I'm hoping that has a similar effect on Vega, because you know it is daunting playing at Anfield, you know, against Salah.
He won't be nervous, and I don't think he'll go into his shell. I'm actually worried about the opposite, which is he is quite aggressive. That's
what I mean.
Yeah, and then you know that 2-2 of Arsenal where Xhaka was it that got the crowd up for no reason.
Yeah.
Not saying we're going to be 2-0 up, because I don't think I would love that, but
we start slow, brother.
Yeah, listen, I'll take 1-0 and then we go from there. But what I don't want is actually him to go and kick the living shits out of one of your players because he's trying to assert himself, and then Anfield wake up if they've gone quiet. And
we ain't got Klopp to ride out.
So there's no Klopp, so Slot is more of a calm down, straight down the tunnel. So let's see. But he's a good player, man. Very, very good player. And when I was on a playback pod a couple of weeks ago, and when I was picking 10 players to lock in at Chelsea for the next 10 years, and if you were to just sell the rest, he was in my 10, because I really think his ceiling is very high for me. Very, very high. And I like his characteristics. He's got intangibles we need. Physically, he needs to add to that back line, because we need to be physically ready for the set pieces.
Oh, mad. Amika says, I respect Mark. He knows what it means to come to Anfield. Respect. Yeah, man. Matisse knows, man. Con, our lineup pretty much picks itself, barring a couple of situations with injuries. So, if people don't know, Alisson out, Elliott out, McAllister, Tsimikas not trained today. Tsimikas, McAllister, because McAllister, we saw the difference it made when he came off. Was it the last game where we're really in control and McAllister comes off and we lose a lot of even though Gravenberch has been the shining beacon and, you know, this so far, the silky one and everything else, and Diaz has been brilliant, McAllister, right? He must play.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, if you watch some of the Argentina games as well, like they've got a packed squad of players, but McAllister,
his teammate.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was Enzo. He played the pass for the 4th goal or the 5th goal for Argentina, and then Molina cut it across. That was some pass. I think it was Fernandes, because DePaul was off by then. But McAllister, I think we kind of downplay how good McAllister is as well, because, you know, even Matisse is probably sick of hearing about Gravenberch this season each match, but he is a top player. Like, we shouldn't be surprised at how good he is, and he's like flexibility playing different positions as well. So that would be a big miss, Grizz. He maybe start on the bench, possibly. Could see that happening. Could see someone like a Jones come in to replace him, which would be a big loss for the start of this game. Ideally, you want him to start, but he might not risk it. I'd want him to start if possible, because he has been just invaluable for us, to be honest. So that would be my opinion on that. I still think, though, at Anfield, if Jones comes in, he's obviously not going to be as good, but I still think we've got enough in that team to get through it. The only other one I was going to say to yourself, Chris, was possibly Diaz as well. You know, being away in an international break, maybe could see someone like Gakpo, who literally has been Liverpool's 12th man this season. He literally could not have done more from the bench. Like, it's ridiculous, and he can't get a start, but that's a good problem to have. So I'd maybe add Gakpo to that as well, and see if he did start, there'd be no complaints from me. Diaz has been great, but Gakpo's also been very good.
I think, I think Gakpo and Diaz is a good choice. We'll pick our team in a minute. But Matisse, talk to me. Give us your lineup that you think will start. Give us a prediction before you jet off.
It will be Sanchez in goal. It will be Gusto, Tosin, Colwell, and Vega.
So hold on, with the Gusto shout, right?
Yeah.
Seeing everywhere, right? Even your manager press conference today is saying Reece has been training. Everything's
Nope. Yeah, no chance, Reece. No chance.
okay.
Too soon.
But
We have
sure,
to. We have to look after. Like Reece, we can't play with anymore. Reece is like, he's getting on that line where everybody's starting to run out of patience now because he is our captain and he's so good. But we can only keep saying he's so good for so long if we don't see him. And for me, we need this guy for the rest of the season to actually be a leader in this team, not just on the pitch. So we can't risk him for this game and throw him in there. He needs to come off the bench against Panathinaikos and go from there. So Gusto will play. I think in the midfield, it will be Enzo and Caicedo. I don't think he's going to start Lavia, but I have no idea because a lot of people seem to think that Lavia is definitely going to start.
Me included.
Yeah, I would be a little bit surprised if he started Lavia straight off the bat. Not tactically, but physically. I just think it's another player we have to be very careful about. You know what I mean? We haven't seen a lot of him since he came to Chelsea. We need to manage his fitness. And one thing this manager has done brilliantly is he's managed people's fitness. First and foremost, before anything else, people are saying, oh, Nkunku will start. Neto will start. No, they won't. Like in terms of Premier League so far this season, they've been looked after. They've been rested. They come off the bench. So I think this manager's very, very sharp in terms of managing fitness and keeping a good look on the players' kind of injury records and whatnot. So I think it will be Palmer who may drop into that 3 and make it a 3. And then you'll see Palmer play an Odegaard position. You'll see Enzo play left side midfield and Caicedo will be the DM if you want to go to a 3 like that. And then you got Madueke on the right and Sancho on the left, and then up front Jackson. And I think he has already had to make a couple of changes in the back line, forced to make those changes. I don't think he's then going to tinker with too much of the rest of the team when he's been pretty consistent with his lineups in the Prem. We got Panathinaikos on Thursday, who'll use a lot of the players that are on the B team there.
How about Nkunku? Before you go, talk to me about Nkunku, because do you remember Conroy and Keith last season? We just smashed them to bits until Nkunku came on, and then it was a bit of a threat because Nkunku is one of those intelligent players. Nkunku, no chance of Nkunku playing, and maybe, but then as you said, too many changes.
No. Off the bench for sure, because he scored. He was the only one that scored the consolation last season at York.
Neto as well.
Yeah, Neto off the bench, I think as well. He could. Yeah, I think Neto off the bench. He really likes Madueke. Okay. Madueke works incredibly hard off the ball. He's an outlet on the dribble. He's someone that you have to kind of pay respect that he's over there and he could literally just cut your fullback up and then get into the box. He's good at getting into the box. I think he's got the most touches in the box this season in the Premier League out of all forwards.
He came from PSV, right?
Yes. Yeah. And then, for me, Nkunku, if I'm looking at your centre-backs and I'm looking for the hold-up, an outlet again, I think Jackson's a better hold-up back to play striker than Nkunku. I'm not talking about the little moments where we're chasing a game or we need to get an odd goal against Bournemouth or a consolation against Liverpool and you're looking for those nice little touches in the box. To get to the box in the first place, we need an outlet and we need someone that can physically deal with those centre-backs. I think Jackson's just a better guy for that from the first whistle. So that's what I expect. Yeah.
Fair enough. We're going to let you go now with John and Ghost.
Pleasure, brother.
He's going to say, much love. You be wearing Bowley's cowboy hat tomorrow, Grizz.
To the watch on you wear on Sunday, yeah?
We see. But listen, people, smash a like if you haven't already. Matisse will be going to warm up now and do a bit of stretching because we have pro clubs in about over an hour. And last week we were shambles and Matisse was part of the shambles.
Shocking.
So he was part of the shambles. Like he was bad as well. You was worse because you're actually good.
Yeah, that was bad.
And
I don't think I've ever played that badly before. Like I was ashamed of myself. Yeah. So I got a lot of work.
Go and get some practice. Yeah. That's how I'm really letting you go. And we catch up in a bit.
Love.
Okay. All right. Yeah, man. It's got the feels of a big game again, Keith. Liverpool, Chelsea. You know, we've had a good start, solid start, right? Some people going overboard, saying what an amazing start. Some people underplaying it, saying, oh, shut up, man, we ain't played no one. Me, I'm in the middle. I think we've had some very, very good performances, and I think we've gone through the motions in a couple of games. But the next 6-7 games, there's no going through the motions, Keith. This is now already. It's the month that 6 weeks that I think dictates the rest of our season. I know that sounds crazy mad, but I genuinely think that's the case.
You're starting to get into the pressure cooker. You know,
Already.
you're starting to put Arne Slot into scenarios where it's kind of like, okay, go to Crystal Palace away. Let's see what you're made of. Do you know what I mean? Okay, go to Milan away. Let's see what you're made of. And, you know, win the games that are winnable. And I think, you know, I'm more of the surface of like, I'm kind of like positive middle, right? So I don't think it's been like, oh, wow, it's been an amazing start, because ultimately this was a team that he inherited that finished third in the Premier League, finished 20 points ahead of Manchester United, way ahead of most of our rivals, right? So like, and what I've loved about Arne Slot since he come in, it was something that I predicted in the summer, was that he's very appreciative of the squad that he's been left with. You know what I mean? He's been very complimentary of the players that he has. You know, he's been very like I think he's been very respectful, and he's done it in a way where it's kind of like, look, I got my ideas, but I respect that I've inherited incredibly talented footballers, and now it's up to them to keep their concentration. And I think this is going to be the key over the next 6 to 8 weeks, because I think Liverpool, particularly over the last few years, have a habit of switching off, have a habit of letting games where they're dominating or they're doing all right to just all of a sudden switch. You know, the Palace game was a perfect example of that, right? We were cruising in that game, particularly first half. Didn't finish our chances. All of a sudden, Mateta comes onto the pitch, and we start to lose our concentration a little bit, and all of a sudden it turns into a game. Okay, we came out of that very impressively to come out with a clean sheet as well. But Slot has spoken about it. He's spoken about how he sees heads drop ever so slightly when they don't win their duels. And this has been a symptom of Liverpool over the last few years. Forget about the time we won the league and all this, that, and the other. This current crop of Liverpool players, in my opinion, still don't believe that they don't believe enough in their talents to be champions. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think they really ever believe that they're better than the team that's gone before it. And I think that when things aren't slightly going their way, they might miss a duel, they might miss a challenge, they might miss something, and their team might have a shot on goal, or might get frustrated. Heads just a little bit dropping, then they get a little bit desperate. And so what I want to see over these next 6 to 8 weeks is when the going gets tough, Chelsea might come in, they might score first. Can we have a little bit more composure and play the football that Slot wants us to play, and not revert back, in my opinion, to that kind of like very direct football of the past, which we haven't quite shaken off yet. We're still in 2 months. I've seen it when it gets a bit struggling. I've seen us kind of revert back, and I can imagine Arne Slot must get a bit annoyed about that.
Forest was a bit wild.
Forest, perfect example. The Forest game, you know, start to lose it a little bit, start to hit it long again, start to go direct. So I'm very impressed with how Slot's started the season. I'm not in the thing of, oh, you know, you've played teams that are now in the bottom half of the table. I mean, Liverpool beating clubs in the bottom half of the table has been an Achilles heel for many of a year. And the other thing that's been really interesting in Achilles heel is the fact that we draw a lot of games. What I've loved the most at this moment in time, I could take the Forest defeat as long as we don't draw. And you know what? I could take 3 defeats. I could take 4 defeats this season. But as long as we either live by the sword or die by the sword, and we win the games that we need to win, no silly draws, I think we'll be in a good place. So, yeah, very interesting to come up. But it's a good time to be a Liverpool fan.
Conroy, we haven't spoken much on the situation so far. Very briefly, what's your opinion on Keith's given his overview? And I'm with Keith. I hear what he's saying. You know, there's good points, bad points, but is it fair to say? Well, I don't know. Did you expect 9 wins out of 10 in the 10 games that we played so far?
No, probably not, Grizz. I think I'd mentioned it before. I was a bit apprehensive with Slot in the summer. Initial transfer, is that the right word? But I've been very impressed. I agree with yourself, kind of somewhere in the middle. I think he's been very impressive. The biggest test so far, United away. But let's be honest, in a one-off tie, absolutely, that's a hard game. But United got beat by Brighton just before that in the last minute. They're not in great form. This Chelsea game's probably going to be the hardest tie because Chelsea are in good form and a so-called top six team as well, like United. But United are all over the place, to be perfectly honest. And I think even the most die-hard Liverpool fan would have watched that game and still noticed even the goalkeeping from Onana. They just were all over the joint, and we were great. But I feel like he started very well. Let's not over-egg it. I think, as Keith said, it's been great that he's done that. I think he's been so complimentary, as Keith said, on the squad, which is fantastic. And it's a bit like, I think we had this conversation in the summer, Grizz, like a manager sees Liverpool as potentially a poison chalice being after Klopp, but I don't think he's seen it as that. And I think you can see that in the way he talks about the club, the team he's got. He sees it as a privilege to have a squad already built and just take it to a different level or take it to his vision, And I think it's been very, very good. There's going to be tests. There's been poor parts as well. Let's be honest. Second half against Palace, Forest was a poor performance. Yeah. There's definitely been spells in this game. It's not as if it's been like 100% amazing. Yeah, but that's a good thing as well, because it's not as if we're starting amazing and we're going to plateau. We're going to look to keep getting better. And I feel like the way it's looking, I think it might be a very, very, very good signing for the future. Like, it might be I don't want to say monumental, but it looks like he's been the right choice to replace Klopp. I mean, there could have been a few ways you went about it, and it might have not worked out great. But so far, he looks calm, he looks composed, he's different. So there's not really a lot of comparisons, I feel anyway, because I feel like they're stark differences as well. On the pitch, similarities, but I think the way they kind of talk and go about it, so that definitely helps. I just feel there's going to be a few more tests. I've seen enough moments where we still need to improve in certain things. So at the moment, happy, doing great. But let's not say Liverpool for the title at the moment. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to put, as typical Conroy, put the back burners down a little bit. I just think need to see a bit more. As Keith said, when it gets to that, see when we get to halfway point of the season, we'll revisit this chat. But that's where I am at the moment. And whatever happened on Sunday, I don't think I'm going to change my opinion on that.
I'm the reason why I'm advancing the title chat before halfway is because of the nature of our fixtures in the next 6. Do you get it? So, like, normally I would absolutely say calm down with the title chat and everything else, and let people like Keith and Ohms in the chat gas up the title chat that we're winning the title. Conroy, obviously the equalizer, has kind of said his, But the reason why I'm a bit ready to decide whether we're in a title charge or not is because of the nature of our, like, someone in the chat, please put up our next 6 league fixtures, because they're mentalists, right? Our next 6 fixtures, I think, include Chelsea, Arsenal, City, and Villa, I believe. Like, that's literally the top 4, right? 4 out of the top 6, at least. So that will give me a personal indication of where we're at. And I think that the selection of slot has been very... We can see what we wanted with this, isn't it, Keith? We is a total different character to Klopp emotionally, but I think it's having a positive effect on the team after the highs and the emotional roller coasters of the last few seasons. We all needed a bit of control.
Yeah, and a bit of control. And I think sometimes just somebody else to tell the players that they believe in them. After a while, with the same voices, after a while, in football is 100 miles an hour, 24/7, 365 days of the year. It's non-stop, constant. And I think, Jurgen Klopp could have stayed and probably could have been in the position we're in now. Let's not call a spade a spade. At the end of the day, we finished there. We're in the title race right up until April last season. The players very much had it, but I think it was one of those scenarios where Klopp's made the decision, and it was about not. I was a big proponent of that, because I remember we used to be on the channel and we used to speak about how gas it would be that we'd go for Xabi Alonso, and I remember we spoke about Xabi Alonso, and I would love to use AI to find a clip where I said I did not want Xabi Alonso because I felt the style that he would bring in would be, he would effectively have to change so much with players that are not used to doing that style that it would take a few years to try and implement what he was trying to do. I was much more on the agreement with the board, where you're going to bring in a young, hungry, successful manager who's not going to change too much by way of style of football. This is Liverpool's style of football. If you know, I wasn't around in the 80s, right? And stuff like that. But anytime you watch a successful or good spell of Liverpool, particularly in the early days, this is how we play, right? We're direct. You know, our attackers, you know, we love our forward players, you know, solid defensively, you know, we like to press up the pitch. This is just how we play, right? It's been controlled since Slot's come in, but not to the level of moving away from being direct. You know, I've seen one of Slots' favorite kind of plays that I've seen happen quite a few times has been in transition. We're still a team that scores. The majority of the goals that we score are in transition. Yes, we've scored a few goals here and there where we kind of built it up. But even when we built it up, it can be quite direct at times, knocking off from Jota up to the side to Salah. Salah runs down. You know what I'm saying? Van Dijk's probably been a little bit more direct, you would argue, in his passing. So he's making line-breaking passes now into the midfield, where before it was kind of, you know, switches and the build-up play happened from the wide area. So there's certain tweaks that Slot's come in and made, but I like the fact that he's not come in and tried to reinvent
the wheel. Yeah, he's not reinvented the wheel. Yeah.
Exactly. Because it didn't need it. You know, we weren't a club in crisis. Our manager just decided he didn't want to be our manager no more. Do you know what I mean? We didn't kick Klopp out. It wasn't a case of Liverpool falling out 6th, 7th. You know, we need to make changes, etc. So I think the club were very smart and astute in that. And I think Slot is a modern manager. And the one thing about modern managers that I think make them successful is they don't see it as themselves. They see it as a team. You know, the signings that Slot made around him to come into the club are just as impactful, if not even more important, than Slot himself coming into that. And managers in the modern day have to be willing and humble enough to have a team, delegate those tasks, have the idea, and make sure that they have the team around them to implement that idea and that philosophy. So I think, again, that's probably what makes Slot, that's probably what's made Slot as impactful as quickly as it has been, because he's not been trying to come in and say, I'm the man, we're going to do it my way or the highway, and it's all about me. It's kind of like, no, I'm going to bring the people around me, and as a team, as a collective, I've identified these people who are really good at what they do, and I'm going to trust them to do it, right? I'm going to trust them on the coaching pitch. So I think that's what has helped him be successful, in my opinion.
Can I just add to Keith? I think that's such an interesting point, because what I was going to say is, see, when I hear him speak at press conferences after games, I feel like I get the opinion. I'm not saying it's definitely the way, but I feel like he's quite self-critical of performances and like will analyze his own performance and like not have an ego about it. If you know what I mean. Obviously, he'll have some sort of ego to back his you know, vision and the way he wants to play. But I feel like the Notts Forest game, for example, I feel like there's not a. I completely get what you're saying. Like, he sees it as a unified front with the team. It's not just about him. It's like, and he would criticise his own performance and his own tactics to then change it, lessons learned going forward. And I think there's so many positives from that as well. I completely get what you're saying there. I feel like even like the set pieces, even how we try different things from set pieces, that might seem quite minute. Or the Ipswich game, Grizz, where like they just left Trent at the back and they all done it.
I couldn't believe my eyes.
Yeah,
I was at that game. I literally couldn't believe my eyes.
Yeah.
No one, guys. Like, literally, Trent was just hovering roughly around on the right-hand side, the only one. Like, near enough in his inverted position. You know when he basically plays inverted? He was the only one back. Everyone else was... Robertson took the corner and everyone else was in the penalty box. Yeah. Someone wants to check up on my Twitter, on my media.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I thought, maybe they've forgotten. And this is just a mistake. I was like, guys, get back. And then I realized, fuck, they're doing this every corner.
Yeah. And the thing is, you have different types of set pieces. They tried a 1-2 where like a runner the other game as well. But what I mean by that is like analysing performance, the attention to detail, just try to find any advantage. I think that's very promising for the future, guys, because it's also not so it's not like egotistical, where it's like, if I can pronounce that, where it's the arrogance, where it's like we don't have to worry about other teams. We can find other teams' weaknesses as well. And that goes back to your point, Keith, like people in his staff who are analysing opponents, looking for weaknesses. Like Chelsea, set pieces would be an obvious one that Matisse even mentioned, but it'll be interesting to see even on Sunday, what do we do to try and take advantage of that. And I find that fascinating, to be honest. He's reinvigorated my kind of fascination with tactics, to be honest, with Slotty. Yeah. He's done that again. Just the way he approaches it, and it's quite refreshing. Every game's different to try and analyse. Or even the Forest game when he tried like the 4 up front. I know it didn't work, and I know it didn't work well at all. But even trying things like that, I do sound interesting. There's interest in that, and I think you'd be lying if it's not captivating. There is something about him. So yeah, fair play. I hope I was wrong at the summer, and it looks like I am wrong. So hopefully that continues, and I'm absolutely terribly wrong in the summer when we've won the league. So that would be great.
Yeah, hopefully you continue to be wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And everyone's a winner. Emeka sends in a super chat. Says, "Imagine not trusting Edwards. He doesn't miss." We're going to finish off with important details that almost are overshadowing the start of the season, maybe, in a way, guys. I don't know what you guys think. The contract situation, even though we've had this amazing, wonderful start, the chat around the three amigos, so to speak, is still hovering like a dark cloud. Would you say, Keith? Edwards and Hughes and Cole really need to sort this out either way. The three most important contracts that you can remember in recent memory, would you say?
I think it's definitely up there. A funny twist. I mean, these lot are playing like this with less than a year left on their contracts. Maybe just give them 1 year extension so they can keep churning out these performances so they can earn their money. Because honestly, like Van Dijk is having one of the, he is by far having the most elite season that I've seen of him since pre-injury. Mohamed Salah is still knocking up the crazy numbers that Mo Salah knocks up, and Trent Alexander-Arnold is for me one of the best footballers on the planet. So I think it's a dark cloud in one way, but in another way it's kind of like the thing is they can't afford to drop their performances. If anything, they have to perform even better. Because if for whatever reason we don't get any of them signed, then they've still got to put themselves in the shop window to get the best possible deal that they could get at another club. So in a weird way, we're kind of like, even though it's a dark cloud for us as fans, we're kind of reaping the benefits at the same time, because they are proving that they need to get that contract, right? Because they're our three highest paid players at the end of the day, right? They are the top earners of the club. So, they got to earn the right to still get, Mo Salah, £1 million a week. I think Trent is the third highest. Van Dijk's the second highest. They got to earn that crust. Let me say it like that. And I think Hughes and Edwards also have to earn their crust. We have to keep them. I think there'll be various different lengths of those contracts, I think. And my kind of hot take on Trent Alexander-Arnold is, I do see him at some point not being a Liverpool player anymore. I think this will be his last contract. I think it'll be the last contract for all three of them, to be honest. This is going to be the last one. So, yeah, get it done. But at the same time, until it's done, it's good to see that they're playing out of their skins to earn that money. So, maybe dangle the cheese a little bit longer and maybe give us a Christmas present. I don't know.
I hear what Keith's saying, Conrad. It's true. It's funny because they all three are playing out of their skin. Like, I didn't expect this from Van Dijk. Like, I've been totally wrong about the levels of Van Dijk, because I thought his levels are going to drop. I thought, obviously we're going to have to manage him, and I still stick by that. We still have to manage him. He can't carry on at this pace, playing every game for the rest of the season at his age. But he's been absolutely world class, and proved me totally wrong, because I said he won't be at his best again. And I never said he's finished. People are saying, "Oh, Grizz, you said he's finished." I never once said he's finished. For God's sake, people, don't insult me like that, man. My intelligence like that. I said, I think he's on the way down, which is quite normal for me to say for a 33-year-old. You know what I mean? With such severe injuries in recent times. but he's been magnificent. Trent, magnificent. Salah started off like a house on fire, a little bit of a dip, but still putting out the output. Conroy, if you're Edwards and Cole, how do you deal with this? And I want you to give an opinion. No, forget Edwards and Cole. If you're Conroy, who are you keeping and who you letting go, if anyone?
To be realistic, Grizz, for me, out of the three, the most important one, and it might be controversial, is I think it has to be Trent. Because I feel like if it's not Trent, if you don't make that the priority, he's going to go to Madrid. It will probably be Madrid. I watched the podcast earlier. Like Barcelona 10 years ago, yes. Like Bayern Munich, not a level playing field, probably going to win more, but there's probably the same Champions League chance or close to that. And he's not going to go to Man City. So it's realistically going to be Real Madrid, who are dominating Champions Leagues right now when they're not even playing pretty well, to be honest. You add a footballer like that and a team with the passing ability and the freedom he'll get at Madrid, the way they play as well. If you look at how Marcelo operated, different footballers, but you know what I'm saying. Like, there's definitely freedom for their fullbacks to do that. Like they'll plan attacks around him. I think it would be a monumental loss to lose Trent, because someone said earlier, we can use that money to replace. You ain't replacing Trent. You are just not replacing. You're not going to find a footballer with that ability out there. It's not going to happen like that. For his age, what he is, what the club means to him as well, for me, that has to be 100% the priority. Because if you think he can get better, which I think we all agree he can, you have to. Trent's number one for me. I think realistically, as much as I don't want him to go, Salah's probably the one you would look at, because I can't see us operating the way we do and the wage structure and all that and the way we give contracts out. I can't maybe give him an extension, but I don't see that. And I don't see us giving a 3-year contract. Potentially we could, but I don't think he's going to get a contract that's going to match the wages that he would want or get elsewhere. So I think realistically, Salah's probably the one who would have to go. And I do think Virgil would be the other one who would sign. So for me, ideally they all sign, by the way, but realistically I think it would be Trent and Virgil who sign. But I could be wrong. If you're going to change that structure, you're going to break it, you're going to do it for Mo Salah, just to highlight that. I just think that realistically that will probably be the case. And Mo Salah might have aspirations as well, where he'll want to get another 3-4 year deal somewhere else, potentially in Europe, and then go to Saudi or go to Saudi now, MLS. I've seen a few things bandied about. So that would be my take on that. The one thing I think it will definitely happen, I would say, is Virgil. I think that will happen, because I just, do you know what I'm saying, Keith? I just don't see where, like, he could get in any team in the world, but he's the captain of the club. So I feel like he would continue to play this way in the Premier League, even if he, declines slightly, Grizz, he's still at that level. So that to me would be my opinion on it, guys. So not to cause controversy.
Can I just say, with the Salah one, that is really an interesting one, because, again, like, clearly, and Grizz, you could probably talk to this, there doesn't seem to be a real rush by any of the three that they want to leave Liverpool necessarily. But it will come down to, I think with Salah, it's kind of like, are the club going to try and lowball him and say, well, you can stay for a year, maybe you can stay for 2 years, but you can't be the highest paid player at the club anymore. You know what I mean? That's going to have to be reserved for someone like Trent. And that's where I wonder that they'll kind of frame the decision that we'll put the ball in your court if you're willing to take a pay cut, knowing that actually he can get paid elsewhere. So it'll be a real challenge. I don't envy Salah for making such a decision, to be perfectly honest with you, because I know how much he loves the club. I know how much he loves being a legend of the club. So I just hope it doesn't get framed with Salah like, oh, he's going out there for the money, because I just don't believe that the club are going to offer him the same type of terms to extend in the time that he wants. And he might have to look elsewhere to make that last bit of paycheck before he retires, because, retirement don't wait for no man.
I think you're spot on, Keith. I think it is a tricky one. And I just keep flip-flopping in my head in terms of, should we give him a pay rise? Like, I don't think we should. And he's an absolute legend and an icon, and he's the best player. I've picked him up on every platform that I go on. I don't let anyone disrespect Mohamed Salah. So in case people start thinking, oh, Grizz is disrespecting Mohamed Salah, Fucking not, man. I'm just trying to be as realistic in this modern day age, given the situation of the other two, which we could argue till the cows come home, who's more important, who needs to stay. Majority of people would say all three must stay. Majority of fans would say all three must stay and give them what they want. The harsh reality of life, business, social economics, everything, just dynamics of the whole business model that we're involved in, and we can't get away from it. We are a business, essentially. As some of you might not like that, might not want to hear that. It is what it is. I just struggle to think that we can give all three what they want. You get it? It has to be some give and take from us and from them. When I say us, I mean Liverpool. Not me, us. Like, you know what I mean? But Liverpool and the players. So I agree with you. I think Mohamed Salah will have a. So I think Virgil. I think he's on the verge of being announced. How's that for a play on words? So Van Dijk is on the verge of being announced. I think Trent will stay and extend. Mohamed Salah one, I don't know. I genuinely don't know, and I don't know how we would work this deal as well. Because I agree with you. Will Mohamed Salah, will his ego, pride, and I don't mean in a bad way, I mean in a professional super player way, will he want to lower his wage, Conroy? Does he think his performances merit that? Because if he smashes it and carries on smashing it, then he's going to say, well, what do you mean?
Yeah, and I think the thing is, you look at that, is there maybe a potential club in Europe? Like, I know Paris Saint-Germain have tried to change that model, but even a club like that who can offer him that money and he can still stay in Europe, still stay in the Champions League, he might want to try another club before he maybe goes to Saudi, MLS. So there's that option as well. And it's like, he obviously wants to keep chasing accolades, but he has won the Premier League, he has won the Champions League, scored over 100 Premier League goals in the Premier League as well. He's hit a lot of marks, so it's not as if he's still chasing that one trophy that he's not got as well. So if you give him a low ball offer, he still wants to maybe get the most from his career, as Keith said. So you can completely understand if he wants to go somewhere else, and I would get that. And I think, as you said, Grizz, we're all realistic enough to know that could potentially happen. I just feel that it's going to sound a bit mad, but I would think it'd be a regret if you don't do all you can to make sure Trent signs, and that might have to include some of that money. And I just think that's the one for me. I just feel like I can visualize it, because Madrid are winning Champions League when they're not even playing well, that if he goes to Madrid, they just dominate, and you're seeing a guy who's still probably got the peak of his career to go, not being at Liverpool because we didn't do all we could. I think that would be, I'd say gutting. Heartbreaking is maybe a bit far, but I'd say gutting. It's on the verge of being heartbreaking, because you could see that if we'd done a bit more, he would have signed. So that would be my only kind of worry in that situation.
Yeah, Total Eclipse says give him an incentive-driven contract. We're very big on incentive-driven. I think Trent's will be very, very highly incentivized contract. I think Virgil's probably the easiest one to do. I don't think Virgil's asking for anything crazy, and I don't think I think he's definitely the easiest one to do. I don't know which one's the harder one to do. I have Trent or Salah, actually.
I think Salah. I think Salah for me. I really do. I think that's the hardest one, because again, like it's you have to say you stay coming up to 33 years old, never been injured, right? Still knocking up the same type of numbers, but you're saying that you're going to give him a year extension, or you're going to give him 3 years extension, and you're still going to make him the highest paid player at the club at 36. And ultimately, then if you're going to make him the highest paid player at the club, or are you going to make Trent the highest paid player at the club? Does that cause some internal issues? I don't know. Ultimately, what you're saying there, Conrad, which I agree with, is Trent is the number one priority. Then you have to make him the highest paid player at the club moving forward. Then you have to tell Mo Salah, actually, well, we've just upped Trent's wages above yours. And then for Mo Salah to look at that and turn around and say, well, now you're lowballing me. maybe reducing, or in inflation terms, not inflating the contract towards economic inflation, he could probably turn around and say, do you know what? I think I still, with my body and my ability, believe that I can be someone else's highest paid player at the club. So, the reality is money's money. It's a short career for footballers. We've got to respect that at this stage, and it's not a case of Salah going, oh, I want more money. It's just a case of, are Liverpool prepared to make Salah the guy that we have made him for the past 8-9 years at the club? And that's that for sort of, my opinion is Salah's the hardest one to negotiate.
Let's end on with Omar's message to us. Not the wisest man to look to for the last comment, but let's see if he comes out with anything insightful and clever. Omar says Salah is special. Okay, it's not a bad start for Holmes. He's one of the greatest players in our history. We agree. He deserves to be treated like it. He's a modern day footballer who won't decline now. He's in his 30s. We should give him a 3-year deal. Not bad.
I agree. Give him a 3-year deal, but he'll have to accept he's not going to be the highest paid player at the club.
I think because it's going to come to a head because they're all at the same time. So this is it's hilarious in football. It's going to come to a head, and I think it will because of this. As you said, Keith, if this is last year, Salah and Trent, whatever, if there's a year between them, but it's such a story now, it's all you're hearing about. It's just, it feels like it's a big decision to make going forward. So it's going to be interesting. I'm sure tabloids would love that. Grizz, just a quick one before we finish up. See on the Verge thing, I've not spoke to you about this. I know we'll finish up. Just be quick. Do you think Virgil was maybe seeing how the season went to begin with before he definitely done a contract, or do you think that's maybe just rumours and stuff?
I didn't hear that. Sorry, it got cut out for 1 second as soon as you said the important bit. Go on.
It was just to say, do you think Virgil's took his time on the contract just to see how it started without Klopp?
Yeah, I don't know. I think all three of them, there must have been some element of, we need to assess the situation, see if we're in line, in tune, in understanding, relationship. I get that. There was a lot of turmoil, and maybe we'll do another show again, but people forget that there was a lot of turmoil in the last 18 months behind the scenes, guys.
Yeah, a lot happened. Yeah.
3 sporting directors, owners possibly wanting to sell, not sell. Our chief executive changing roles, coming out of the role, coming back in the role in Billy Hogan, wasn't it? Manager suddenly announcing he's leaving. This is a lot of change. I don't know of a club, unless it's Chelsea, that have gone through so much change and turmoil behind the scenes. Record amount of staff left behind the scenes as well, by the way, people. So many analysts, so many people behind the scenes, the nerds coming and going. So it wasn't straightforward and simple, man. Just do the contracts and that's it. So look, we are where we are now. I must run because I've got to get ready for the pro clubs. I've enjoyed it, man. Let's get back together again and talk football again very soon, people. Hope you guys have liked this. Hope you guys have enjoyed our company, our panel. Smash a like if you haven't already. What have you been waiting for? Subscribe if you haven't. We're nearly on the road to 40K. Football Khanage is back. Liverpool are back. Liverpool Chelsea rival will be coming back. Interestingly. Speak soon. Take care.